finishing off with Fremantle. So weird sort of off season for them. They didn't add too much.
If anything, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
after a pretty disappointing season in general. So
yeah, it really wasn't the off-season their list management and coaching team would have wanted to have had after finishing 14th, not carrying a first-round pick into the draft, and then losing 3 players that they wanted to keep. Excuse me. Yeah, obviously a really down year for them after winning a final in 2022. So they're pretty much going to be dealing with the same magnets they had this year. It's just a matter of, are the right ones developing on a trend that's going to get them back into the top 8 in 2024. You look at their backline, probably not a big change. Like Alex Pearce, Brendan Cox, and Luke Ryan are those 3 taller options for them. Ryan, again, one of the best intercept players in the comp, and Pearce probably had a bit of a down year, but Brendan Cox is really lifting, so that it probably kind of broke even a little bit. But if Pearce can kind of get back to his best, they could be back to that really formidable defensive line. Heath Chapman should come back into the side. Whether he's a certain starter for round 1, I'm not sure, but I think he's a best 23 player, especially if you've got Hayden Young moving into midfield, which I would like to see more of next year, and it makes sense if that's kind of where he's heading. So that opens the door for someone like Chapman. They have Brandon Walker and Jordan Clark as those other defensive options. So there's certainly a bit for them to work with in their back line. Then you've got your Carl Warners, Ethan Hughes, Corey Wagner, James Aish can play back. Jeremy Sharp, is he playing more of a defensive role? He certainly can. Did so during his time with the Suns. So there's a bit for them to work with. Obviously, there's depth options. Hugh Davis is probably that next key defender, like picked up last year's draft, but without Joel Hamling there now, he could be that next man up as a key defender for them. Ollie Murphy's probably not going to get a look, I would have thought, or at least ahead of Davies. So yeah, they've got a bit to consider, but they just got to hope that those tall defenders stay fit. Midfield is obviously where their top line of talent is, both on ballers and ruckman. The ruck call is going to be quite interesting to see if they can finally get that balance right. Probably didn't work all too well when they couldn't quite get it to click through the early rounds. I think it soon started to with Jackson and Darcy, but once Darcy got injured, Jackson kind of flourished, and it kind of raised a few eyebrows as to whether they're better off just preferring Jackson one out. But Darcy's too good of a player and too good of a ruckman to not have playing. They can make it work. It's probably just Darcy's forward craft that probably needs to improve. Like Jackson's a pretty formidable, tall forward option when resting in attack, and it's just probably up to Darcy to kind of be a similar level, or at least just be a bit better than what he can be, or what he has been, sorry. And then midfield, Caleb Sarong, Andrew Brayshaw, Jaeger O'Meara, Nat Fyfe, if needed, is probably a nice way to kind of finish that 4, like two-time Brownlow medalist if needed. He's certainly going to play more minutes forward as he kind of gets into the twilight of his career and deeper into his final few seasons in the game. But they've got an exciting group coming through. Sarong and Brayshaw are only getting better through the next few years still. They've got plenty of football ahead of them. Hayden Young's probably that third piece. He might come in ahead of Jaeger O'Meara, which is going to be a bit of a watch, and just to see how that best midfield group looks with who's rucking to them. Depth options, Matt Johnson, Neil Erasmus, Nathan O'Driscoll out wide. Ethan Stanley could be a bit of a smoky starter, I think, on the wing as well, as they try and look to fill voids left by Liam Henry and Lockie Schultz. James Aish, another wing option. Do they push a Sam Switkowski or a Michael Frederick up onto the wing from the half forward line? I think Frederick could be the one that kind of gets that nod. Switkowski certainly played a bit of midfield in his time though. And then forwards, you've got those guys. So losing Henry and Schultz is going to open up a bit more of a reliance on a Switkowski, Frederick, a Michael Walters as well. Jai Amos is probably the one that's spearheading this forward line after leading their goal kicking this year. But who joins him as well? You're going to probably have one of the rucks. Is Matt Taberner going to be fit, and is he going to be back to some of his better footy? If not, it's probably Josh Tracy that's alongside him, like a Jackson, Darcy, and Amos in that forward line. Sam Sturt, Bailey Banfield, Jeremy Sharp, Neil Erasmus, all pretty decent depth options, you'd think. Tom Emmett showed some pretty good signs late into the year, so they've got heaps of options. Add Nat Fyfe into that if he can kind of just stay fit and stay damaging as a forward target. They've got a really nice attack there, which is the area that they've struggled in most under Justin Longmuir. So, obviously plenty to consider in this side. High upside certainly could be challenging for the 8, but at the same time, it's not really an improved list from what we had this year. Just they can only hope that some of their key players are developing and can go to new heights in 2024. Yeah,
there's a lot of, again, as you said, there's a lot of options there, but there's a lot of people that have their spots locked down. Like, I'm excited to see what Amos does next year. Same with Michael Frederick. I just love, who doesn't love watching Freddie play? But yeah, it's going to be an interesting year for Freo. So